Keep it. Let's keep going.
All
We
right,
don't
I'm
edit these
starting over.
videos.
They didn't know. All right, it's pedo stash AP gains and cheek clapping grid. We're gonna talk about some GL stuff. I brought on the master because one, I have no brain cells, and two, I have no galactic legends. Therefore, we're bringing in an expert. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great, man. It's been an awesome day. It's been a really good particular day, but I'm excited to be to making a video with you. I'm glad you reached out on Discord, and I thought about declining the friend request, but you bullied me, so here we are. But
Guys, I hit him with the fingers together. I said, "You want to add me back on Discord so we could do a video together?" And he said, "Okay, fine." It was not
cameras,
my highest point, not my most confident manly, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get stuff done. All right,
gotta do it.
give the people a background. What's your galactic legend situation looking like on the main account?
Yes. So I'm at 6.9 mil GP. I have
Nice.
SLKR at Relic 8, C at Relic 7, JML at Relic 7. They all have their ultimates, and I just need to get Django and Watt to Relic 7, and then I'll have JMK.
You mean Glock?
JMK.
All right, fair enough.
This is our first video together. Let's not break our friendship.
All right.
So that's kind of where I'm at on the Galactic Legend front. After this, depending on the requirements, I'll either go for Lord Vader or Rey, or just vice versa, depending on what the requirements are. So that's kind of roughly where I'm at when it comes to Galactic Legends.
Now, really quickly, are you upset that there's already 3 Bad Batch marquees so early in the requirements? Because I was talking to Ian 2 days ago on our video, and he was pretty turned off by that. He said he might not even bother looking at the rest of the requirements because he's just fed up with spending money on the game.
Yes, in with a one-word answer, yes, I am. I think that is so steep. Not to mention that also Tusken Raider. Like, I mean, we knew the Tuskens were gonna be in there, but like, you're gonna tell me I have to get 3 marquee characters, and most likely the other ones too, or Omega is probably gonna get thrown in there somewhere. Some other Tuskens, most likely. Like, yeah, when I saw that, I was like, okay, immediately, no matter what, we're talking 3 to 6 months of farming to get those marquee characters up. So yeah, immediately I was like, that sucks. I'm not a big fan of that.
Yeah, I was pretty turned off.
If
by
you
it.
want to throw 1 or 2 in there to make some money type of thing, but that was a steep first round of requirements for sure, which really leads me to go towards Rey over Lord Vader.
And because the new Kenobi's requirements were relatively tame, I mean, in terms of cash grab, there wasn't a huge cash grab. Of course, they started like fronting the bill for the negotiator and Watt shards, which I'm totally fine with. They've been in the game for long enough. I'm okay with free-to-play players spending their crystals or whales, whaling out early for that. But it just seems like a stark contrast between, relatively reasonable requirements for Kenobi, who comes along with Ahsoka in Conquest, a great team, a team that even before reworks was going to be hard to counter. And then Lord Vader just seems kind of rushed. I was expecting to get him maybe the announcement a couple months later. It just seems like they're pushing out a lot of stuff really quickly, and I don't understand why.
Yeah, I think I'm maybe it was because of that. We're getting to the kind of another quarter here of the year, and maybe they want to get some money, and they realize they didn't make a whole lot off of JMK. They made some from Bo-Katan and Commander Ahsoka Tano, I'm sure. But a lot of those requirements, especially long-term players, you already had a lot of those people leveled up or relic. If you went for gas, you had a lot of those people, and you probably had them somewhere in that gear 12 to relic range anyways. And so it was more kind of just like polishing off the requirements. This with Lord Vader, you're telling right off the rip, you got to get 3 people who are brand new marquee characters up into relics, as well as Tusken Raider, which I personally only know of 2 people who have Tusken Raider relic at all. That's definitely, there's going to be a cash grab going on there with those requirements. So maybe this is how they're trying to turn it around and make some more money off those people. But that 100% turned me off. At this point, I'd be a little surprised if I even got Lord Vader this year.
Yeah.
Really. I would like to, but like I'm looking at 3 to 6 months, because I'm not a whale. All of my stuff, I can't claim I'm free to play, but all in. I've been playing the game since the week of launch, so 5 pushing 6 years at this point. I spend $10 here, $20 there type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
apps just within my means. I never push any boundaries with it. um that like JMK, I was like, spend like $50 here, let's see, like
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'll get JMK a little bit quicker. I'm that kind of on the fence guy of like, if it's close enough and good enough and worth it, I might spend like $50. But Lord Vader, you're telling me at minimum I have to spend what, $300 to $500 to get these marquee characters? Like, no
And those
shot.
are just
I'm not doing that.
that's just week one. That's just one
Yeah,
of
that's
three
week
requirements.
one.
Not
Like,
to count
that's
other
one round of
marquees.
requirements.
Other,
So,
I mean, I don't
yeah,
think they're gonna. I think they're gonna overload it, front load it with marquees. I think that's how they're gonna get around. A lot of people are worried Cam. I think we've pretty much gone to the point where we don't think Cam is gonna be a requirement because he's a little bit too late game centric to where they can justify selling his shards like they have been. So I feel like they're just gonna front load marquee characters to foot the bill. But I think the Kenobi was kind of like a gift, and then Lord Vader was kind of like the I give and I take away kind of action going on. But I'm pretty excited. Are you excited about the ship? I know we promised we'd talk about how we're gonna change the use of GLs, but we're just having such a great conversation. I mean, you're just coming off a photo shoot. You're looking so beautiful. I know you can't see me. I'm looking equally beautiful as well. I mean, let's not
I
get
don't
our
believe it. You
let's
got
not
those
get anything.
sunglasses on and everything.
I actually don't have the sunglasses on.
Ah.
My dog took them, and they're behind the couch, and I haven't moved the couch yet to go get them, but I'll get them later. But the ship. How do you feel about the ship? Because I know when I talked to Ian and Cubs and a lot of other people, they were a lot more excited about the ship than the Lord Vader. Not necessarily the requirements for the ship, but the ship itself and the ramifications it could have, not only in Grand Arena but Squad Arena, since the meta has been stale for a very, very long time at this point.
I'm kind of like neither here nor there with the ship. If we just simply say, is it cool that the Executor is coming into the game? Absolutely. That's an iconic ship. Like, like, it is ingrained in my brain of that image of that ship crashing into the Death Star. Is just, it's so, like, that whole thing, that whole scene and everything is super cool. So I'm excited the ship's coming to the game. Absolutely. After that, I'm confused and a little maybe upset, slightly frustrated. I don't get why they're making it a bounty hunter
Yeah,
kind of capital ship.
I thought that was a huge stretch.
That's a yeah, that is a
They used a
huge stretch.
3-second scene of Bosk's toes to justify an Empire ship being used for bounty
Yeah, you got
hunters.
Boss Toes. He goes, and then you got Dengar over there who's like, hey.
Yeah, it's like a toilet in my head.
I was like, that is a stretch at best. So I'm a little annoyed at that. I mean, I'm sure they're still gonna have some type of synergy with Empire, of course, but like, I did not like that. I was not a fan of that, of this being like the bounty hunter ship. I think that's kind of ridiculous.
Were you on
So
board with the
there's
cool
that
kids who
aspect of
wanted
it.
Hondo capital ship? Or are you one of those people who
Exactly.
said, "Oh, the
If
flying saucer
anything,
is so lame. I hate the flying saucer."
no, bring in the flying saucer. Let's do it. Bring in Hondo. I would have been much happier with that. If they released both, they said, here's your bounty hunters and here's Executor for some Empire, like, I'd have been cool with that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm weirded out by that aspect of it being such a bounty hunter focused ship. I do not like the pilot requirements to view and begin the event. I was like, that is deep.
They had
A
it
lot of them I
messed
can
up
at
at
least like
first.
understand. Piet, that's going to be the commander, so yeah, okay,
Mm-hmm.
fine. Darth Vader, sure. A lot of people have him relicked anyways. Boba Fett at relic 8, I was like, oh my, you're gonna die. I have to get 2 people to relic 8 for that. Like, whew, that's steep. TIE fighter pilot, like, okay, I guess. I mean, yeah, you use the TIE pilot,
He's
for
definitely
that
underrated.
ship. Yeah, Bosk, okay. I mean, I guess. IG-88, at least he has a ship, but I'm not happy about that one. And then Dengar, he doesn't even have a ship.
I know
So
that
I'm
pissed
really
me
hoping
off.
they at least add in what was his ship, the punishing one or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, they could
At
still add it. I
least,
mean, I think that would be nice.
yeah, at least if they add it. If not, I'm like, get rid of the Dengar requirement and put in Cad Bane, because we have to get Cad Bane for JMK, and
But
he's got
Cad
a ship.
Bane's not canon in episode 3, my friend. He was not there, so therefore we have to stay lore focused. Exactly, which is why Bo-Katan is a relic, is a requirement, and Bad Batch was obviously a huge part of Lord Vader's turn to the dark side. You know, Capital Games is all about
Episode 3.
canonical importance.
So all in, I'm like, I'm really confused. I like the ship. I'm excited about the ship. But outside of that, I'm like, what on earth? What does the Razor Crest have to do with that? Like,
Yeah.
why is the Razor Crest? That was blown up way before that. Like, why is the Razor Crest in there? Why is what's like Slave One's a garbage ship now? So I hope they do something to make it a little bit better. TIE Bomber all of a sudden just getting thrown in there. There's so many things about it that I'm just like, what on earth? This is a Galactic Legend capital ship, and I don't know. With them releasing and giving us information about how the Galactic Legends are going to change and whatnot, that is really hard for me to take away from a Galactic Legend farm to get Piet to Relic 8 and Boba Fett to Relic 8. I I would I hope I get the ship at some point,
Forgetting about
but
Relic 9.
oh, I
I
know.
just got my first Relic 8 like 2 days ago.
I know, right? And then like, here's Relic 9. I'm like, dude, I had no time.
Uh,
So I don't know what I'm gonna do with that ship. If there is no way to beat that ship, then I'll probably put it slightly higher up on my priority list. But I'm hoping when that comes out, if there's any way that Malevolence or Negotiator or whoever beats it, I don't know when I'm gonna get that ship, if ever.
yeah,
It'll be a long time.
I have it planned out to where after the testing goes live, if it's at the point where I have a lot of like crazy Krakens in my Fleet Arena shard. Same with my girlfriend's free to play account. Like she's 1 million
Yeah.
GP. All the people in the top 5 with her are all like 5 million. The people in
Jeez.
my shard are like twice my GP. So if it turns out to be something where I can't get top 20 anymore, I might have to push it up. But if it's something where like I can dodge around it, or it's not that common, or I can beat it with my Negotiator Malevolence, I don't see myself even attempting to relegate Piet in the next year. It just doesn't seem like a good use of my resources, especially because I get one Relic 8 every 2 years at this point.
Yeah, I mean, with how long it's going to take to get those Relic 8s, not to mention just like the Relic 8 material itself from, C-Pip, but like everything else, like all of my Relic materials are getting depleted with these Galactic Legend farms. And so like I have enough of like the material that you get from the Crancor himself, but like I
But none
don't
of the
have the
small
other
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah.
I just have to give it to 50 people to get this Galactic Legend. So if I have to do that for the ship, I'm like, oh. And if that ship just gets beat by Negotiator Malevolence, like I'm definitely not.
Well,
Definitely will not be going for that.
I feel like we'd accidentally be arguing for the whales. I know, obviously, we talked about, or not we, but a lot of people have been talking over the last couple days about how even the whales are upset that some of the counters are gone. I think we just kind of accidentally argued for not deleting counters, because if this ship is broken, or if we do end up farming it and it's not broken, I mean, we're gonna be upset either way. Like if we go for it and it's beatable, we've wasted all of our resources. If we don't go for it and it isn't beatable, we're gonna be pissed, and we're gonna have to either pay for those resources or just suffer in silence until we can figure out a way to beat it.
They're just, that's too steep of in my personal opinion. Those are too steep of requirements, and that forces CG into this kind of corner. Because if, let's say, like, just for example's sake, let's wipe all of those requirements and let's put everybody at, let's say, Relic 3 and maybe the commander at Relic 5 type of thing. I'd be okay with that. I mean, Relic 3 isn't that, isn't that rough to get. It's not enjoyable, but, Relic 3 is okay. If those were all Relic 3, I'd be like, all right, yeah, I'll probably go for it. And if it's good, great. I invested some good tunes into it. I invested some gear, but nothing too crazy. So I would expect to beat some stuff, and maybe I could be beaten. But if you're telling me I have to get some Relic 8s and some Relic 7s and all of these ships to 7 stars and everything, and it doesn't just dominate, then yeah, I'm going to be pissed because I just put all of those resources into this just to get beat by Negotiator. And if I can beat it with my Negotiator, I'm not going to be investing all of those materials into them, so I can invest them into other tunes to go for Galactic Legends. Like either way, putting that steep of requirements, in my personal opinion, puts them into this weird corner of a lose-lose situation. I don't think that's good, but what do I know? They're gonna make money.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I've become less cynical of CG after This is going to be a really weird anecdote, but I was going through my YouTube recommended on not my AP Gains account, but my personal account that I actually watch videos on. And it's mostly
Mhm.
SWGOH stuff, to be honest. I watch everyone
Yeah.
else just to see what's going on. And a Cubs fan Han video popped up from like over a year ago. And the title was
Uh,
like worst road ahead ever. And it was the road ahead that the Hyperdrive bundle got announced. And
oh
him in the
yeah.
comments, everyone was like, the game is dead. Everything's ruined. It's just pay to
Yeah.
play. Free to play is dead. And I'm like, well, I mean, the game is still alive and kicking. I mean, we went through a year of rough patch, but we've trended in the upward direction in terms of we have more stuff to do, even though, some of us complain that Conquest is boring. But I feel like the game's
Yeah.
gotten better on average. So I'm
Yeah.
less upset as I was, day one of the road ahead. So I feel like maybe they're leading towards something, and eventually we're not going to be super pissed. But
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
If
where I
if
am in the game, it
all
doesn't
of
really matter.
Yeah, if all of this news of, we have some steep requirements for Galactic Legends, for the Executor now, for all of this stuff. If all of this got matched with in like a month, they're saying, hey, we know we're throwing a lot on your plate. So we're giving you additional ways to get relic materials, additional ways to get, especially like Relic 6, Relic 7, Relic 8, now
Hmm.
Relic 9 materials, in the same breath. I wouldn't be that upset. Like right now there's this extreme pinch around that kind of relic 5 through relic 8. There's a very extreme pinch. And so when you keep saying here's a galactic legend, you need relic 8, relic 8, relic 8, and here's a ship, you need relic 8, relic 8, relic 8, and all this stuff, you're just like, I can't keep up with that. It's too much. So if they were to couple this with saying you can now get these relic materials from Territory Wars or GAC, or here's a new game mode, or putting them in Conquest, I don't know, whatever, I'd be okay. But right now, in the current state, this news, I was just like, oh my goodness, are you kidding me? That's adding so much stuff. But just like you're saying, man, in 6 years of playing this game, something I've definitely learned so far is those knee-jerk reactions. I'm always guilty of them, but those knee-jerk reactions, generally speaking, tend to be okay. Like
Yeah.
Relics first came out, I was like, oh, I'm quitting, I'm out of here, this is stupid. And then you're like, okay, no, this is all right. And Galactic Legends, I was like, what the crap, are you kidding me? And then you're like, oh, okay, okay, I mean, I can kind of get behind it, I see where we're going with this. And so if they give us more news, more information, another month or so, I think if people can calm down just for a second on those knee-jerk reactions to see if they give us more information, I'm hoping things will be okay. And I tend not to be very optimistic when it comes to CG, but I'm hoping things will still be all right.
Oh, I think the thing is we come from a place of we only know what's in the game and they know what's going to be in the game. So changes they make will
Exactly.
probably seem a lot more justified to them, and changes they make will seem crazy to us because we don't have the foresight of all of the stuff that I have planned for the next year, or changes or new
Exactly.
game modes or new ways to farm stuff. So it's always going to suck
It,
for us, and it's always fun to be
it kind
mad,
of has
isn't it?
that give and take. Like people are mad, myself included.
Mm-hmm.
Like JKL and Gas and Thrawn are now going to be like nowhere near as good for those GL counters. But in the same time that those are kind of being taken, if you will, you put Commander Tano with Padme, and you can beat Galactic Legends,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like
I love that.
it's this same sort of like process of this kind of give and take. And so I'm wondering what Maul's going to bring and what updates like defense and health and Relic 9 is going to bring for tanks and whatnot. Like it's just going to be different. We're not used to it, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I talked to Ian about this, and I want to hear what you have to think. A lot of people are either upset or happy that Galactic Legends are going to be impossible to beat without Galactic Legends. I really want them to do something where they did with. So when the Kenobi first came out, we all freaked out. I listened to some podcasts on Spotify. Everyone was like, "This guy's unbeatable. His ultimate, we're gonna be assists everywhere. Like it's gonna be impossible to beat him." First week he was out, people were like, okay, we can beat him. It's nothing crazy. He wins if you know what they're doing, but on defense, it's not that smart. Cat comes
Yeah.
out. This guy is impossible to beat. We can't beat him. A couple days later, we have some counters. I'm hoping that Galactic Legends, kind of like Darth Revan, was scary but beatable, and then Malik came out and he was scary and then beatable. I'm hoping that Galactic Legends come out, a conquest character goes along like a cat. I wish they chose. I mean, Vader doesn't have any sidekicks because just how the movie works. But maybe Maul is the cat for Lord Vader. The next
Yeah.
GLs come out, they're beatable. I mean, not for the first week. They're beatable once people figure it out. A conquest character comes out, they're unbeatable without galactic legends, and then another character comes out. Now we can beat them, and it's just going to be like a cycle. I mean, there's going to be that week where like the person with the money is going to be in the driver's seat, but eventually it evens out. I'm really hoping that that's something they do. Do you have any thoughts about how that give and take, maybe over a course of a week, 2 weeks, a month, couple months, with new characters being added to new GLs?
Yeah, I think we can get a feel. In I mean, I could be wrong. I have no insider information here, but we're getting the ebb and flow from before you had. I mean, even if we go back as far as maybe Jedi Knight Revan was extremely good. And then when we figured out that Joe Lee is what made that team extra annoying, it took it to a next level. And then you had to work around that. And then same thing, you had Darth Revan, crazy, but manageable. And then Malak got put in. You're like, crap. You know, fast forward, fast forward, fast forward. We're now to the point. I think the coupling tune is. I think that's how they're going to make Conquest be such a important factor for people. Like less, it can't be ignored, you know, as easily. Razor Crest isn't a bad ship. I don't know if it's like game shifting, but you know, it's
It
not
was a good
bad.
test conquest character unit.
Exactly, exactly. It was that tester kind of feeler, and people are like, dude, we're doing 2 weeks of stuff, and this is really difficult, and blah blah blah. And then they're like, okay, so here's Commander Tano, and it elevated what those tunes bring to the game. And in that same video, Crumb or Doja, I can't remember which one it was, made the comparison that Maul is going to be to Vader what Commander Tano is to JMK. They already made that comparison. And so I think from here on, maybe not from like here on out, like indefinitely, but at least I think for a good amount of time in the future, I think that's how they're going to make Conquest be such a priority for players and reward players who are able to get through Conquest and saying, here's this crazy good tone that standalone is also really good. Like Commander Tano is great in all sorts of teams, but couple her with her Galactic Legend, JMK, and it takes that team to the next level. I think Vader is going to be amazing. He's going to be super good. Couple him with Maul, and it's going to be insane. And they're just going to kind of keep pushing things up a level, I think, with Conquest. I'm not against like the concept of if you pay money and you get somebody right away, that you're going to be ahead of me. That's, I
It's just
mean,
how life works in
that's
everything.
how life works. You can do that in any field, in any aspect of life. You can pay to get ahead of stuff. And so I'm not inherently upset at that. I think that's, you know, that's the way that it is. And it'll just take a little bit of time to catch up. Like I'm just about to get JMK. I have Commander Tano at 7 star, and I'm, you know, I'm working towards a JMK team, and I'll get Maul when he comes out and all that good stuff. Um, it's it's going to be interesting to see what these next pair of Galactic Legends bring to the game, because there's been a kind of safe rock paper scissors of SLKR beats C beats JML beats Slicker, Ray is over there doing whatever potatoes do on the side
Giving health to the
and
Jawas.
giving health to the Jawas. And then all of a sudden JMK came in and he kind of disrupted that. Like we can beat JMK, but it's still dicey. There's no like just, oh, let me put in a team and auto it and call it a day, no problem yet. Maybe we'll come up with something. Um, I think JMK pushed the ceiling a little bit, and I think Vader's going to be on that same level, push the ceiling. They're still going to be Galactic Legends, but I think they are going to be on a slightly different level, which means that they had to kind of buff the current set of Galactic Legends and then push everybody down. I think that's what kind of forced this nerf that we're seeing for some of these not quite Galactic Legend characters, but you know, up there characters with JKL and Gas and whatnot. Because there's like these characters are 4 years old. We want Galactic Legends to be better, be worse, and you're like, ah, great. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what the next couple of conquests hold. If they decide to bring in more Galactic Legends, it's going to be really interesting to see how these characters are going to push the ceiling or how they're going to fit into our current understanding of the game. I think it's going to be really interesting. I don't know if it's going to be good, but or bad. I don't know,
I think
but
it'll be
it's going
good.
to be interesting.
I mean, like if you So I'm in a like a unique place because most content creators have been here a while. They have late game rosters, 6.5, 7, 8, whatever million GP. My
Hmm.
audience, so the people who are going to end up watching this video, are mostly people at my GP or below me, following my path through trying to figure out how to quote unquote free to play. I have spent some money, but
Yeah.
not wailing out how we can get around the Galactic Legends. I hate Galactic Legends until Kenobi came out, because mostly because I thought they were stupid characters, but also I'm against you know going so crazy on one character. And
Yeah.
there's tiers. I mean, I can't bring in my bounty hunter team against a gas. Like, there's no world where I can put together bounty hunter or night sister level characters and end up beating a full Relic 7, Relic 8 General Anakin Skywalker team. It just doesn't work, which is why there's no way that characters that I have right now could beat a Galactic Legend. I mean, I have great characters. I could assemble a counter if I tried, but my strategy revolves around winning without having to beat that character. Once I have a
Right.
Galactic Legend, if another Galactic Legend that comes out that I can't beat it, we have to change our strategy to revolve
Yeah.
around the next tier. I mean, there's always going
Yeah.
to be those teams that you can't beat. So
Yeah.
I think it's going to just be an evolution. We're just getting more steps to the staircase. And, when you start out, you're going to have to farm these teams. And yeah, if you're a level 80 player and you see Lord Vader is completely unbeatable for, when you watch Cubs or Arnold or you or Heinze or whoever's streaming, you're like, oh my God, if these guys can't beat this, I am level 80, I have no hope. Those aren't characters
Yeah.
that you're going to have to fight. So I think a
Right.
lot of the outrage has been not only from people who are going to have to deal with it, but people who are just, scared of this tier that they just haven't got to yet. And I think I'm definitely guilty of that. My day one video was a lot of screaming and a lot of crying and a lot of stuff like that. But I
Yeah.
think at the end of the day, it's not going to be the end of the world. I like how we completely skipped over what I was going to play in this video for, but it turned out being fantastic. Do you
Yeah.
have any other things you would like to touch on? I have no timetable. This video can be 10 billion years long, or
Sweet.
or you can end right now and we can just people don't know because our backgrounds look different, but he's actually on the other side of this wall right here. So we're gonna go watch
Yeah.
Love
Yeah. I'm just
Actually
right over
after
here.
this.
Yeah.
Um,
What's up, AP?
yeah. Oh, here, I'll
Um.
just knock. Oh, sorry.
uh. Yeah. I think one of the only things that I would touch on additionally is just like you're saying, there's these tiers of tunes, and we've always been aware of that. There's no surprise that Gas and Malik and JKL can solo a lot of teams out there. Those tier B, tier C teams are no problem. That's not a foreign concept to anybody. I think it's just because we have been so accustomed for so long that they almost blended together. I mean, when they released General Skywalker, they used the terms he's like a raid boss. Like when they were designing his kit, it was around this multiple abilities, a lot of damage, that kind of character. They compared him to a raid boss. And then same with JKL, a very beloved character in the Star Wars universe. And really, we're looking forward to him coming to the game for a really long time and all that good stuff. And he came out and he's awesome. Um, and then Vader's always been epic. Well, not always been epic, but since his rework, he's been awesome. Thrawn's always been there. Watt's always been there. We have been used to this for literally years. And there's always almost been that gray area of like, well, I can use my JKL or gas or some combination that I can at least keep up with some of these galactic legends. And it feels like they're drawing a very firm line in the sand now of saying, here's galactic legends, here's everybody else. Um, I think it's going to be very interesting in the coming months to see how that is actually going to shift PvP and PvE playstyle. PvE, maybe not like a ton. I think it will change some aspects. Vader's damage is going down, but his bonus damage against raid bosses goes up. JKL is going to be doing some of that true damage. Gas is boosted as like an actual 501st leader, but kind of gets that nerf as a standalone tune. It's going to be really interesting to see how those guys still play into the meta. But it's going to be really interesting to see from a PvP perspective what these galactic legends are both going to be used for or not. Because look, I'm going to be blunt with you guys, whoever's watching this video.
No one.
SLKR is getting this unintentional almost nerf. because a Jedi Knight Rev and Jedi Knight Luke counter still works against him.
Mm-hmm.
That counter isn't based off of anything that's being touched in the kit. The only thing is they're ignoring the defense with Jedi Will. They're getting rid of that and putting in bonus offense. It's still going to work. Jedi Knight Rev and JKL is still going to work against SLKR, as well as a Rex lead 501st with Zaris should still work against SLKR as well. So SLKR is getting this almost like unintentional defensive PvP nerf, because he will still have non-GL counters. Rey, though, on the flip side, is getting this almost unintentional buff because now that Vader is gone, well, not Vader, but Fracture more so. Fracture is gone from the Rey counter. You can no longer use Vader versus Rey. That's not going to happen anymore. Same thing with Imperial Troopers versus C. They're getting these kind of like unintentional buff. Maybe they're intentional. I don't know. But they're getting those kind of defensive buffs that makes them more viable. Slicker is still in the corner of, I can still technically use a non-geo counter against him, but now Rey is hard confirmed. You need a Galactic Legend to beat Rey now. C, you can still kind of play around, SLK will still kick his butt, but it's going to be interesting to see how that play style is going to come into, especially in GAC and Territory Wars, to see how people are going to kind of prioritize what Galactic Legends they put on defense versus who they save on offense. For me personally, I've loved putting my SLK on defense, and I'm probably going to take him off of defense now because it opens the door for a potential non-GL counter to a GL, which is ultimately that equation is valuable. And now that they're making that so much more difficult, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. What non-GL counters pop up, if any. We'll see.
There will be some. I mean, there's
something has
hundreds of
new tunes will come out.
Well, I don't want to give them credit for hundreds of thousands of players, but there's enough of us to where something will work. There's enough characters and enough people thinking that something will work. But I like how you either accidentally or didn't accidentally talked about the original topic. Good man, sticking to it. Sorry, I just wanted to throw that in there. All right, keep going. You're on fire right now. Both literally and figuratively.
Yeah, it's just I'm trying to maintain some level of optimism, I guess, to see what's going to happen. But there's no way around it because the devs have also said they're not planning on reworking the matchmaking system just yet. They're looking into it, but they're not sure what's going to happen. And so if you're going to tell me that you're going to get rid of 90% of my non-GL counters, but then not rework GAC where I can still get matched up against somebody who has 5 Galactic Legends to my 3, that's not good. Yeah. That's not healthy. And same thing with Territory Wars. One of my guilds in my alliance just went up against a guild. They had triple the Galactic Legends that they did. It was 50 to 150 Galactic Legends.
It happened to us the other day too. It was terrible.
Yeah. I already kind of hate Territory Wars anyways, but you're going to tell me Galactic Legends are becoming that much more important, and then you're not going to change the matchmaking system so I can still get paired up against somebody who has triple the GLs? Oh, no shot. That's going to be miserable. So there's going to be growing pains. Absolutely. We are in a period of change, just like when mods were first introduced to the game, relics were first introduced to the game, Galactic Legends were first introduced to the game. There's going to be some growing pains. There's no way around it, and I'm sorry, but there's no way around it. We just got to figure out what's going to happen in the next couple of months. And I think it's going to be the imagination is going to be stretched on how we're going to make some of these Galactic Legend or these non-GL counters work. It's that, or it's going to get pushed to what are we going to do to counter these other people now? We have to go back to, before you could say, well, I'll use my non-GL to be a GL, therefore I'll use my GL to solo just about any team that I want. That's going to be kind of taken off the board because you're going to need to reserve Galactic Legends for Galactic Legends. So now you're going to have to go back to, okay, what do I want to use to beat General Skywalker? What am I going to use to beat those JKL teams? We're going to kind of go back another step of what tunes am I now going to use to beat these other teams? It's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I think a lot of the unheard of teams are going to start making resurgences, like teams that, like when Night Sisters, people were discovering, oh, we can kind of beat General Grievous, we can kind of beat this. Night Sisters became super popular. Imp Troopers, no one used them, and then they started, you can really, a couple of reworks, a couple of extra characters, you can kind of Imp Trooper anything now. I feel like the teams that, I don't even know what the teams are because these I haven't thought about these. Like Jawa's got that crazy, we can actually use Jawas now. I mean, if we get a couple pieces of gear on them, we can go against Mon Mothma. Maybe the Mandalorians make like a random resurgence. Maybe people figure out that there's a way to use, I don't even, who are these teams? Old Republic against a very specific team that people like to place on defense.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's going to be important. I know obviously they're geared towards Galactic Legends. I think it's going to be important that they add non-Galactic Legends, like actual teams to the game, like the Bad Batch. Like, is the Bad Batch going to be really good at countering a team that we used to use a Galactic Legend to beat, but now the Galactic Legend has to move to another Galactic Legend and the Bad Batch are now inserted to beat this team? Is a team that we're going to get in a couple months for Lord Vader a full marquee team, or maybe a completed, God forbid, Tusken Raider team, or or the Gungans that I've been asking for forever? Are they going to come to the game and they're going to be a miraculous bounty hunter or Newt Gunray separatist with Django counter?
Yeah.
I think that's going to be huge for the health of the game, is those teams
Yes.
that free up the Galactic Legends to be used in Galactic Legend battles. But that obviously takes time because you can't pump out entire teams all at once. So there's going to be that period where, there's going to be a huge amount of people who are struggling against these certain teams because their Galactic Legends have to be repurposed.
Yeah, exactly. Because you, in speaking in GAC terms, I could say, I'm gonna put, I'm gonna if I'm presented with like, a CLS and let's say it's CLS and SLKR. What I can do is use my C to solo CLS, and I'll get 63 banners. And then what I can do is use my Jedi Knight Revan to beat SLKR for 60 banners as well. And so, all things considered, I get 123 banners. But now instead, I'm going to have to use probably Sith Empire, or, there's not a whole lot of great non-geo counters to CLS out there, but let's just say Sith Empire at that point. Sith Empire, you're looking at, hopefully you'll probably get like 57,
Some guys are dying. Someone's dying.
you know, type of thing. Like your banners are going down because now then you can't do a C soul on CLS. You have to take C and use that to beat a JML because that's now off the boards of non-GL counters. They
So
might still work, but we'll see.
while that's going to be
Um,
frustrating, do you think that's going to make GAC more fun? Because at this point, like in my GACs, I mean, well, the point I'm at in the game, I basically know I'm going to win before the GAC even starts. But like, you have counters that will work. They will get great banners. It's basically like, do you drop one battle? If you drop one battle, you lost the Grand Arena. Do you think it's going to be more exciting to where there's going to be more 45 banner, 52 banner wins, and guys are dying, counters aren't perfect, and it's more
yeah.
slight in-game skill as opposed to just, oh, I picked the right team and it's guaranteed counter no matter what. And it's going to come down to more like the actual skill of the player in the match. Do you think it's going to make it more fun, maybe?
I think we're going to see a big difference between the level of players. To That's kind of an offhanded way to answer your question of like, for people who have 5 Galactic Legends, they might see this as annoying because now they're like, well, okay, I have 5 Galactic Legends. I can't put some of these on defense, so I'm going to put either all 5 Galactic Legends down, and if my opponent doesn't, then I win, or I'm going to keep all 5 for offense, and then I'll put all of the gas, Sith Empire, Padme, CLS, everybody else on defense, and keep all my Galactic Legends. So maybe it's going to be kind of stale for them, but I think on the lower GP scale, I think it might be kind of interesting. Just like you're saying, because instead of just like, okay, I'm going to go into this battle, let's get 60, call it a day. You drop one battle, you lose, and then, okay, I know I lost, or I know I won. And it's very like quick. I think it does kind of open up that door for, if I'm forced to use all these Galactic Legends against other Galactic Legends, I'm going to have to find the way to be most efficient with them. But ultimately, if you're doing SLKR versus Ray, a lot of times at best, that's like, 50 banners type of thing. And so it'll change that aspect of just, instead of do I win or lose, it's like, okay, maybe I drop the battle, but I can still win this because he has to go up against my Galactic Legends and he's going to get like 50 banners. I managed to get 56. Or I do think that door is open. But I think it's going to add an additional layer of, sometimes I think of GAC as almost like a chess game.
Mm-hmm.
of like, what piece do I need to move to beat this, to get to where I want to get, to beat this piece, to get over here, and how am I going to move versus what are they going to do? And it's this big chess game. And this is adding in another layer, because then instead of just like, oh, Ray's on defense, cool, let's Vader that, call it a day. Now you have to be like, oh, okay, he likes to put Ray on defense, so now I need to make sure I save either C and Wad or SLKR and take some really bad banners, or JML and hope I can kill her before she takes some banners. Like, it's going to add in another tier of that galactic legend tier. I I'm cautiously optimistic. um because again, I mean, there's the overlying the 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 shadow over all of this is they're not going to change GAC matchmaking.
That really
So
hurts, man.
that
It's
hurts, because if it were just like, okay, you need to have the same amount of galactic legends, or something needs to kind of like make up, if they make that formula be more specific and accurate and fair for opponents, then I could see this being kind of exciting. But right now, again, I have 3 galactic legends, I go against people who have 5. If that happens in a month, I'm screwed. I'm 100% screwed. I got nothing. But now when it happens, I can look at their GAC history. I'm like, okay, so they like to put Ray, cool, so I can use Vader there. And oh, they do like to put JML, perfect, so I can do C and I can get some really good banners. And oh, okay, so they also like to put SLKR, so I can use JKR there. Like, you can kind of still plan and still make it kind of work with those non-GL counters. But if it's just like, here's 5 GLs, you're like, okay, cool, so I lose because I have 3.
yeah.
So I hope it shakes things up, but I'm nervous if they're not going to touch matchmaking if it actually does.
Do you think GAC is their biggest focus? Because a lot of these changes seem like they very, very specifically affect people who only care about GAC and like are good for some other parts of the game. Do you think they think GAC as important as we do, or are we just in like our own bubble because GAC is what we consider fun?
I mean, they have to be aware of it. Like, I mean, they're announcing the, content creators versus developers GAC. Like, they have to be aware that GAC is one of the, that's probably the highest streamed content for SWGOH.
It's the game.
It's something that
It's pretty
people,
much the entire game, in my
yeah,
opinion.
like,
Like people
yeah,
don't
a
play.
lot
I
of
mean,
that
there are
other
some
stuff is,
collectors, but people play this game for GAC.
yeah, it's a fun way of, it's a fun way of pitting yourself versus another player. Very, personal PvP content. I'm not a big fan of territory wars, but again, that kind of goes back to the whole aspect of,
It seems too detached.
yeah, you just
It,
kind of like, I use territory wars as a sandbox mode personally.
oh, I just
But
place all defense. My guild is
yeah,
like, you have to hit the certain number of tickets. I'm like, okay, right as it opens, before anyone's awake, because it starts at like a really weird hour, I throw everything on defense. I got my tickets. I'm like, all right, I'll see you guys in a week when territory battles start.
see you guys later. Yeah, I think especially with kind of how the rewards are, territory wars first to second place is such an insignificant, negligible difference in rewards, it almost doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
But GAC from first place to last place is quite a big difference. And so I feel like they have to be aware that people take GAC pretty seriously, but they also really enjoy it. Even winning or losing, you can still have a really fun time, and it's really cool, that personal experience of going against another player, your roster versus someone else's roster. So I think they have to be aware of it, and I think some of these, nerf slash buffs kind of thing, are yeah, I think they're directed towards GAC. I think the biggest example is probably not the biggest, close to, maybe, I don't know. One prominent example is definitely with Gas, because Gas, even though he's getting worse on a galactic legend counter
So much
level,
better on his own team, though.
such a better tune. So if you are coming from the perspective where your top dog in your roster and your opponent's kind of world is Gas, Gas just got way better. Like, that's going to be so much more difficult to beat Gas as a 501st leader team, but as a GL counter is worse. So it's that give and take. 501st is better, Galactic Legend counter is worse. And so I see what they're kind of trying to do and making it kind of go back and forth for the two people, but I do think it is geared towards GAC. Um, and it's going to be very interesting to see how the players react based off of where you're at in the game. Because again, gas all of a sudden just got so much more difficult to handle. He's going to be standing up in literally twice the time or half the time. He's regaining his protection twice as fast. So while before you're kind of like, okay, like let's get rid of fives, we could probably get rid of, we might even wipe the whole team while he's down. Now you're like, okay, let's kill fives, and then he's standing up, and you're like, ah, great, you got to stand, you have to go through another round of him. So that's gonna be so interesting to see how, like, players who have no galactic legends, they are going to be reacting differently than I think people who have galactic legends.
Mm-hmm.
So even because you said you don't have any galactic legends, right, AP?
No, I'm fairly close to Kenobi, but I mean I don't even have a 7-star gas. It doesn't
Yeah.
negatively affect me, luckily, but the gas is something I'm definitely a little bit scared about, especially because a lot of the people I work with are newer players. The
Yeah.
cash on Camino is going to be a credit card debt on Camino now. Can you imagine doing that event now?
No, that's a great point. Like, that's gonna be freaking hard to beat Cash on Camino.
It took
Like,
me like 4 relics. I mean, I used a Gear 10 Magna Guard as a meme, but like
yeah,
the trickle down up anger is affecting my community just as
yeah,
much as it's affecting the guys at the top. I just think that's funny. They kind of screwed over everyone.
yeah. That's gonna be so weird. I mean, the JKL event might get kind of weird as well. Like, if when you're using JKL versus Vader, maybe it'll be better, maybe it'll be worse. I don't know. Like, all of these things are changing, and what we're used to happening with tunes might not happen anymore, and there's gonna be some weird growing pains for sure. But I think there's gonna be this weird. There's gonna be a spectrum of reactions from players based off of where you're at in the game.
Mhm.
People who have a ton of galactic legends are like, ah, great, now I have to deal with more galactic legends. People who only have like some galactic legends are gonna be like, oh my goodness, now my strategies aren't gonna work, but maybe they will, but like probably not. People who have no galactic legends and aren't fighting people with galactic legends are like, I don't care about galactic legends, but that gas is gonna piss me off now. Like, the spectrum of reactions is gonna be very interesting to see from all sorts of different players.
It'll be exciting though. I mean,
It's
everything
a
will be
shift.
new.
It's a huge shift.
Just like when
Like,
my
this is
parents
the
abandoned
first
me.
time ever that Thrawn is now going to have a slight dip in like
I already hate
five.
Thrawn. I'm a little bit happy. I don't think I've ever used Thrawn in GAC ever. I literally
Like,
don't. I can't remember the last time I used Thrawn. Um, I hate him so much. I don't know why. It's probably just because I hate Phoenix. I hate Phoenix so much,
yeah,
and since I do mostly like early game guides and shit like that, I
yeah.
hate Thrawn. But I'm a little butthurt that Thrawn won't be useful because I was actually considering like, oh, maybe I should get Thrawn past Gear 6 at this point. I mean, I'm
Oh,
basically 3.3 million GP, and my Thrawn can get one shot by a level 1 mob enforcer. I should probably do some stuff with that. But now I don't even care. Now I'm never touching
yeah.
him because
His viability's dropping off. Like, but hey, I'm with you. Like, when Thrawn was first announced and first brought into the game, my Phoenix are in the exact same condition that I used to unlock Thrawn.
yeah.
I have not touched them since. I hate Phoenix,
But
which is
maybe
actually really
Phoenix are
funny because
useful
when
now.
when
Hmm.
that event comes back around, and you can like replay it.
Yeah. I
I
can't beat
can't
it.
beat the
I
I
can't beat
can't
the Thrawn event either. It's so
I
hard.
somehow snuck through and like unlocked Thrawn, but I can't beat the event again. I'll never do it.
I
So I
have a
just like I sim the other, beat the other one, but I can't beat that last tier
It's
now.
really funny because I have a guide that has like 20K views on how to beat the Thrawn event, and I just fired up the recording, did it all in one take. It was super easy, and now I can't beat the Thrawn event. I'm like, oh, maybe people are having trouble with this. I feel like he got a
I
crazy
feel
buff or something on the second time around, but
yeah.
I think they're gonna
It'll
have to change. I think that's something they're gonna have to do. I know this is not necessarily in your wheelhouse, but they're gonna have to change the events. Like they changed the Padme event. Um,
mhm,
most people just used like random stuff, and then they added the separatist tag to Django, and then I was like, all right, we use Django. He's solo 7-star Padme because they didn't get a
yep,
lot of courage. They wouldn't do a bunch of damage, and then
yeah.
they buffed it up to where they get normal Padme amounts of courage, and then characters are getting deleted instantly. Luckily, the
Yeah.
Django solo still works at the same gear level. You just have to, like, not have the extortion spread. But I think they're going to need to change events for those early game players, because I think some of the changes they've made they're gonna lose players when like I had a guy comment on a video the other day on my super old C3PO unlock guide. He's like, I can't
Yeah.
do this event. Your guide is BS. I'm quitting the game. And I replied, I was like, don't quit the game. Hop in the Discord. I'll help you out. Never replied. I think he's gone. I think they're going to need to figure out how to change some of these events, because
Yeah.
I don't think that's something they take into consideration when they make changes to characters, that those changes actually carry over in every single place those characters are used. Except for
Yeah.
TB. Newt Gunray still throws bombs for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah. And that ground war
Yeah.
assault.
I'm very happy about that,
Yeah.
though.
And I'm glad, but yeah, it's a weird one. Yeah, I don't know if they just don't think that far ahead, or maybe they do and they just don't really like care, and they just expect that people are gonna go for it anyways. But yeah, that's gonna be a whole another aspect with all those events, with all of that stuff going on. That's gonna be tough. I do not envy people who are doing Clash on Camino now. That's gonna be tough.
It's
Um,
awful.
and some of those guides might have to change. Some of those strategies may not work. Maybe they will. I don't know. We'll
They
see.
don't.
But there's a possibility now that they won't.
I think
That's
there's going
gonna
to be a
be
big, for any of you guys listening out there who maybe want to get into Star Wars Galaxy Heroes content, I think there's going to be a huge market for, new event guides. So if you guys want to go do that and compete with AP Gains, which you cannot do because I'm the king of the early game. Don't you know that? I'm pointing a gun at you right now. You can't see it, but I want you to be intimidated. And for legal purposes, it's
you're
not a
right.
real weapon, and that was not a real threat,
Whatever you say. You're right.
because I did get demonetized for that at one point, and I want to apologize to the YouTube creator family for being a bad representative of your brand. All right, man. Well,
Yeah,
thank you so
man.
much.
All things considered, this road ahead is a lot of changes, and gonna be interesting to see what happens the next couple of months.
It's like the stock market. It'll be good at some point. Just don't quit. Just don't sell
Just
low. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for stopping on by. This is a fantastic first interaction live. Hopefully, there will be
Yes.
many more.
Absolutely.
You are
I'd
now
love to have
an
you on the
official
channel sometime
member.
as well.
Yes,
This
I'm
was a
always
lot of
free.
fun.
Literally always free. I do a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
but I'm somehow always free. It's really weird how that works out.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much for having me on. I've caught wind of your channel here and there and from quite a few people, and I see you hanging out in the Twitch chat sometimes and everything, and I super appreciate your support on the channel as well. I'm glad we're able to get together for a video. This is a great, just kind of down to earth chat. So this was wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on. Thank you everybody in the community that's supporting AP Gains. Keep doing that. And yeah, this was awesome.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. As always, I love you, and I'll see you later.